Okay, guys, we got a video by Kepler08. Can we please stop power scaling? Honestly, I don't like the title, but I respect it. The truth is, yes, power scalers are often toxic, especially like, with the Dragon Ball fan base and stuff. Can he beat Goku though? But honestly, I kind of like power scalers. Like, let's be honest, guys. Like, it's fun to watch little shorts. Like, I think yesterday I was watching a Luffy versus Shigaraki power scaling short. Like, it's entertaining. It's fun. Thrag versus Gojo versus Sukuna. Like, power scaling is fun. And honestly, I remember watching a video in the past saying that power scaling is actually necessary because it allows us to like just know how strong a character is and how they would, fare against other people.
Overpowered characters have always existed in fiction, but it only recently exploded in mainstream media, especially in anime. Even existing long-form
Yeah, I love how he's showing Dragon Ball first.
stories that started in the early stages of shows started introducing these types of characters towards the latest parts of their narrative, and it poses a
Now I feel like the power scaling with One Piece is getting a little bit weird because Oda has devil fruits, but he also has Haki. And it's like, these are like two different power systems. And it feels like devil fruits aren't really like, for the most part, it feels like devil fruits haven't been like super important as of lately. Kaido himself said Roger took over the One Piece world with Haki. Kaido said that Haki trumps devil fruit. Haki trumps all. Now, it is ironic because, okay, it's hard to really make this argument because I'll admit the flaws with it. The reason Kaido lost to Luffy wasn't because Kaido's Haki was weaker. It was literally because Luffy awakened his Gear 5 God, Sun God, Nika Devil Fruit. So it's kind of weird. Technically, Devil Fruits are still relevant, but like on average, it's just not as relevant as Haki, if that makes sense.
real problem. Overpowered characters are introduced in the story as a plot device to present a power ceiling in its world. They're mostly either a mental
Jujutsu Kaisen does extremely well with power scaling and just matchups, knowing who would win in a fight. With One Piece, it's a little weirder because I've been seeing people try to say that Loki is stronger than Kaido. Now, I haven't read the One Piece manga. I'm mostly an anime watcher, but it just feels disrespectful to say that Loki is stronger than Kaido from what I'm seeing. Like, Kaido, his durability is insane. Does Loki have advanced conquerors?
figure to the protagonist, an antagonist, or the protagonist themselves. But they usually
Ooh, wait, oh my god, Sid Kagano? Let me stop glazing, but it's just like, I always get surprised seeing Sid Kagano or just like just a character from Eminence and Shadow because like when I was watching Eminence and Shadow, I did not think it was like this extremely popular anime, but a lot of people seem to still be talking about Sid. It's like a pleasant surprise for me.
are used to motivate the protagonist.
Like Classroom of the Elite in like Eminence and Shadow, like they're popular, but they're not like super popular. They're like just a tier below like JJK, Chainsaw Man and stuff.
To strive for something even remotely close, or at the very least, to unconsciously plant that idea to the viewers. But then, the story has to progress, and that's where the problem starts. Some writers don't
Power creep.
know what to do with overpowered characters once they have served their purpose. And what I mean by this is that they make the mistake of giving them a role so large that the plot couldn't continue unless there was a way where they had to be eliminated, sealed, or just randomly disappear. And most of the time, the justification and its execution
Akutami literally had to seal Gojo because Gojo was too strong. I'm pretty sure he admitted this.
doesn't justify itself within the confines of the story. This is why the stories struggle when there's an unbelievably overpowered character in any role they play. If they're a mentor figure, how do we eliminate them from the story to give a chance for the protagonist to grow? If they're the antagonist, how do we justify the main character eliminating them from the story? If they're the main character, how do we create a conflict that they can't easily solve?
Yeah, it's so weird with Saitama, right? Because Saitama can basically beat anybody, right? Like, it's actually very scary how One Punch Man is so mainstream and how it's such like a top tier enjoyable anime, like how great it is, even though Saitama is literally like the strongest within his verse. Now, in the manga, I believe there's a character called God. Like literally the name is God. He's like this giant, humongous being. I think he also gave powers to Homeless Emperor. Homeless Emperor is like this old guy who has like a cape or something. But Saitama doesn't really have a challenge. I mean, Saitama basically mid-diffed Lord Boros. Heck, he mid-diffed Boros even when Boros was in his meteoric burst form. He like high diffed, spoiler alert, he high diffed Cosmic Garo. If you guys haven't read the manga, you know Cosmic Garo is overpowered, can copy people's abilities. But is God gonna be able to defeat Saitama? Like, what's gonna happen with that? But yeah, it's just weird with One Punch Man because Saitama doesn't have a challenge. That's the entire point of the story. Saitama doesn't feel challenged fighting anybody. That's the issue.
Now, a lot of stories try to deal with this problem, and there are some that were awful in its execution.
And then Ichigo just literally has every race. He's Quincy, he's Hollow, he's Soul Reaper. Like, come on.
There were some that did it okay, and then there are some that did it well.
Wait, we're saying One Punch Man did it well? Wait, is this still for power scaling or is it like power creep? Hold on.
An example of an awful execution would be Yuha Baha from...
Yeah, okay. Honestly, I like Bleach. It's a great anime, but if we're talking about writing, honestly, the villains, okay, Aizen is a 10 out of 10 villain. I don't know, like, Aizen is peak, okay? But Yuha Baha, what? He can use his eyes, he uses the Almighty to choose the future. It's just, I guess all Bleach villains kind of have BS powers, right? Tsukishima can replace your memories. Aizen has Kyoka Suigetsu, which lets him manipulate all five senses, and this guy can literally choose the future.
From Bleach. His character was introduced to be the
Nah, you said it correctly. It's Yuha Baha. You said it correct.
progenitor of all Quincy's, revered to be their king. He is an overpowered antagonist, so much that it made the story all the more interesting as to how Ichigo and others would be able to defeat him. And interest turned into disappointment because of how his character and his strength was resolved. I'm not gonna spoil what happens in the manga, but it was bad. It felt rushed, like the story was about to go somewhere interesting, and then it took a massive turn in the last couple of chapters, and it...
I see. Bleach has an extremely loyal fan base, but there's a reason it isn't the best in the big three. That's all I'll say. Now, Aizen, best villain in the big three. I'll be completely honest. I will put Aizen above Doflamingo. I will put Aizen even above, yes, Madara Uchiha, Pain/Nagato, and yeah, maybe even Obito. Because Aizen's writing was just so like, I don't know how to explain it. Aizen is arguably the best anime villain in history. Like, the only people really competing with Aizen in terms of writing is like maybe Johan from Monster, Meruem from Hunter x Hunter, Madoru Uchiha, Obito, and like Pain/Nagato.
rushed to its conclusion, and then one of the most popular, long-running manga shonen series suddenly ended.
Some people would probably compare Aizen with Dio and Griffith. If you want to say Griffith is the best, sure, due to how iconic Berserk is, but I watched JoJo's. Dio is an awesome villain. Like, he's so enjoyable, but just in terms of overall writing, I can't see myself putting Dio Brando above Aizen.
An example of an okay execution would be Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. To say Gojo is
Yeah, he got sealed. Decent execution.
overpowered would be an understatement. In the story, he was so strong that his existence alone forced the cursed spirits and users to evolve, to be able to keep up with him. And they never did.
Yeah.
I mean, he used one of the strongest cursed spirits as a practice dummy. At first, his character was never really deeply explored outside of his skills and his impact on other Jujutsu sorcerers from their perspective, although this changed with the latest chapters. An example of good execution would be Meruem from Hunter x Hunter.
I always wondered how Gojo was able to sense Toji, But the reason he was able to sense Toji is because Toji technically didn't exist. Toji has zero cursed energy. So while Gojo can see all cursed energy, Toji basically acts as like a hole in cursed energy. He kind of breaks the flow. So that's why Gojo was actually able to, see Toji and notice him.
Or Saitama from One Punch Man. Now, these two are very different examples. One is a serious take on an overpowered king of an entire species, and another is a satirical parody of an overpowered
Oh, okay. We're talking about Meruem. Nice.
hero. But these are the keys. If you want to write a serious take on a powerful being, and they could be the antagonist,
Hunter x Hunter just has like the writing in Hunter x Hunter just hits so differently, bro. It's hard to believe it's only like 147 episodes. What a Togashi, bro. Togashi is right next to Fujimoto, bro. Some authors just know how to write, man. I'd argue Togashi is a better writer than Fujimoto. Like Chainsaw Man is peak, but Hunter x Hunter, it's just a different level. And even after Hunter x Hunter, he also wrote Yu Yu Hakusho, which is loved by the anime community. I do need to get into that, though. I do need to watch Yu Yu Hakusho.
or the protagonist of the story, you build time to explore their characters, their motivations, reasons, values, realizations, and ideally the people that they care about. Explore the character beyond just showing their abilities and the gap between them and the rest of the.
Bro, playing chess literally made Meruem become a good person. It's so odd, bro. Komugi as well, man.
There has to be a reason for everything. Their powers, their actions, and their motivations. But a
Bro, it's like, this is like the opposite of broken hero. Like, Meruem became a good person. That's why people loved him so much. Because Meruem got to do everything. Think about it. Meruem got to aura farm and act cool, and, we perceived him as a scary villain. And he still got massive character development, which is nice. But the third and most important point is the massive character development that he got was in a good way. It wasn't in like this bad broken hero way. Meruem is literally the opposite of Obito Uchiha in a way. Obito was this good little kid, and he saw the cruelty of the world, right? He saw the cruelty of the shinobi world in Naruto, and he became a villain. Meruem, he started off evil, and he actually learned to love people, to love even chess, It's freaking wild, bro. But I guess, honestly, either way you look at it, I guess it's just about character development, because Obito and Meruem are both top tier villains. Now, Obito technically had a second character development. He did become good at the very, very end when he sacrificed his life to protect Naruto and Sasuke, right?
serious take doesn't have to do most of that. You do the polar.
Obito's so unique because he started out good, he became evil, and then he became good again. It's like he got character development twice. It's very odd, but I love it.
Opposite. If you know that the story and the characters are meant to be a satire and parody, then you lean into those elements.
Poor Mosquito Girl. Come on, Saitama.
Make the most over-the-top action sequences and events that justify their characters. Make the most over-the-top character designs.
Bro, I low-key wanted Boros to come back. I hope in the manga, maybe an alternate universe version of Boros. Okay, technically, yeah, Boros was evil. He pillaged a bunch of worlds. He's the dominator of the universe, right? He destroyed a bunch of universes and worlds. But it's honestly, even after that, I still want to call him a good guy. I feel like he's just a battle junkie. He's like Kashimo from Jujutsu Kaisen. He just wants to fight. I don't think he's really this evil person, I guess I honestly felt a little bit bad for Boros because at the end of his fight with Saitama, he literally he was just kind of cooked, bro. He barely had any of his body left, but the main thing is he knew that Saitama was going easy on him. He literally said it wasn't even a battle. You were too strong, Saitama. That just hit different, man. That really hit different. Poor Boros, man.
Make a hero that is so stupidly OP that their struggles differ completely from the struggles of the rest of the heroes in the story. Whereas other heroes struggle in fighting villains, our hero does it so easily. But what he struggles in are in the aspects of their everyday lives. For
Yeah, for sure. Definitely with
getting
Saitama.
a sale at a supermarket, catching an insect that bothers you, groceries, heck, even losing in a
Bro, honestly, to me, One Punch Man is kind of like a solo leveling with really good writing. And the reason I'm comparing One Punch Man to Solo Leveling is because they're both like these extremely enjoyable animes, right? But what the author of One Punch Man, who won, what he's able to do is he still embeds his series with a lot of good writing. Like Solo Leveling's plot, it's not really the best, but One Punch Man still hits deep. Garo's backstory. Garo got bullied in school, and now he's this like strong guy with a bunch of muscles, and he knows martial arts. And Garo also wants to show that, you know, the villains are trying too. Yes, maybe villains are evil, but they also have hearts. They have souls. They feel pain. And that is why Garo is hunting all of these heroes. And he's not even killing the heroes. He's just hunting them. He's just beating them up. Garo isn't even really a villain.
video game. He struggles at the things that we also relate.
But yeah, a lot of people say One Punch Man is just a stupid comedy anime, or at least some people. But like, it has some pretty good writing if you actually look into it.
To, because these things also happen to us in the real world. An overpowered character that is relatable. Now, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. There are other examples of entertaining heroes and villains in this category. I'm only saying that there's a trend with most of them being interesting. Because if you can't make the viewers like them as a character, the least you could do is make them interesting. There has to be a depth to them. Of course, this doesn't necessarily have to apply when it comes to life.
Meruem really was on Demon Timing, bro.
Live action films and series, because depth can be disregarded and replaced with performance, even with characters that aren't necessarily powerful, but have a powerful screen presence. In any case, whether it's anime, cartoons, films, or series, the audience would resonate more with interest and intrigue. This is why some villains are more beloved than others.
I'm gonna bring up Boruto. Don't get mad. I'm gonna bring up Boruto real quick. But it's true that you don't necessarily have to be powerful, or at least in the traditional sense, to be an interesting character. I don't remember the dude's name, but there's this character in Boruto who's kind of like a second Shikamaru. He's this old guy, right? I think he has glasses potentially, but he's always able to outsmart like Ada and Code. He was able to constantly like outsmart people. He's the smart guy. If you read the Boruto manga, you should have an image of him in your head as I'm saying this. Now, I don't remember the character's name, as I said, but just based on my description, you should already know who I'm talking about. It's this old dude. I think he has a beard. He's extremely smart. He's just extremely smart. And he is an interesting character in the Boruto manga because just his pure intelligence, it kind of feels like this manipulation battle in a weird way. Now, yeah, he isn't strong physically. Like, he probably couldn't beat Naruto in a fight, but he could probably outsmart Naruto, for example. But yeah, don't remember his name, but he's just some smart old guy. Very interesting character. He's actually one of the main reasons I enjoyed the Boruto manga so much.
Other series also tried a different take on a traditional hero's journey. Point is, an overpowered character is a burden, because they could easily undermine the challenge that the main character or the world is presented with. But it could also amplify the story in a good way if a character is written with reason, depth, and intrigue. But I'm curious as to what you guys think. Do we want to see more of these characters in the future? What do you guys think? Comment below and let me know. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell button.
Honestly, end of the day, it truly just depends on execution, right? I mean, that's really it. Just make a layered, interesting character, honestly. I'm a little bit surprised the video actually, okay, it kind of does relate to power scaling. I get it. Honestly, it just depends on overall writing. That's the truth. There's no like secret formula to making an extremely good character, sadly.